All right, so this is the user services meeting for January 25th, 2021. And let's see, we only had one agenda topic come up, but we're always open to more topics if anybody wants to talk about it. But the topic was from Mary,
Yep.
and it was koha points of sales options or basic cash register recommendations. So I'm not familiar with the points of sales options. Mary, can you
Well,
elaborate on that a little bit?
we have a cash register that really should be in the Smithsonian. Um, it's, I mean, it's great for a library for archiving, you know, circa 1990 point of sale systems. But I know like there's like some point of sale things when I was looking in the help um, menu of Koha. And I didn't know if there's like something that people are they using that? Do they integrate? How are they doing their cash, you know, our city manager or our assistant city manager really wants us to go like cashless, but we don't see that really working in a public library environment when we still have people that don't have bank accounts and they just carry cash or change. And it's gotten to the point with our cash register that if something happens with it, there's nobody that can troubleshoot it or help me out with it. So I'm really trying to investigate, different what other libraries do uh, for point of sale or just regular cash registers because we definitely need to get one. What do y'all do in Kansas? What do they do?
So I did have this question come up at one of my users groups meetings recently. I didn't get very far with it. Somebody asked if there was some sort of cash register that we could integrate directly with Koha.
Yeah.
Um, as and I asked it some at different user services, but as far as I've found so far, no such thing. Um, there are some plugins that you can use for the e-commerce type things. Of course, PayPal is integrated into Koha, but Bywater has a few other plugins. I'm not sure what all they've got out there. Like I know one of them's PayGov. I was trying to Google fast. Um, my libraries at this point all have cash drawers or archaic cash registers as well, and they just uh, they're the interaction between the computer and the actual money. So
Do you do y'all use does everybody get a drawer or do you just have one cash register and everybody shares it?
I'm guessing in most of my libraries it's just one drawer and everybody's using the same drawer. Um, I can only really speak to so we've got like 47 libraries in our consortium, and one of them is in the same building as us. I can only really speak to the one in the same building as us because I've worked there, um, and I know that they've just got one cash drawer that everybody works out of. But most of my libraries are small. I have a few libraries that have multiple floors, but most of them are just one circ desk. So they don't really have a need for multiple cash drawers on multiple levels, that kind of thing.
Because we used to use PayPal. We don't use PayPal anymore, but we use SmartPay, which is a comprised technologies, and that works okay. And it fine for people wanting to pay online, to the catalog. But our city manager wanted everybody to have a separate drawer, and I mean, it's just we're talking about transactions of 40 and 50 cents. A lot of times, unless they're you know we did away with overdue fines, so we don't really have that. But people have to pay for books if they're lost or what have you. But um, it's just become kind of a I'm holding my breath if something happens because I don't know how I would ever get it fixed, and I certainly can't change any buttons because nobody knows how to do that, and the manual is defunct.
Yeah. I
We
know that some of that stuff is getting built into Koha in 2005. Barbara, do you have any experience with that?
Of course, Mary and I are at the same library, and I'm not real up on that part of it, but I know one thing that for us complicates it is we're not only taking money for like a lost book, we're taking money for a friends group or the foundation, or we're selling book bags for the friends, or, you know, so we've got multiple things happening in a cash register, not just the koha things. And we just weren't sure how other libraries, you know, handled it. What do y'all do at Pueblo, Daniel?
We have the self checks that people can pay. They pay through there. We also have what they call SAM, and that's for printing. But they want to integrate it a bit more with Koha. So apparently there's a new update or new version of SAM that has, I keep wanting to call it, I know it's Smart Alec or something like that. And it's going to do a lot more things. Apparently the IT department is really enthused about it, but for the most part, money's only gone through the self checks, and we have those the pay machines that they use for the printing. So that's how we collect all our cash. We don't have any cash drawers at all.
So you don't take any money across the desk for anything?
No, no.
Has that been a problem at all, or is it just that people just got used to it? Or, I mean, because we always have this, well, we've got our, you know, coin machines as well, but we have, you know, they come in with a 20 and they've got 40-cent transaction and we have to make change or what have you. And then we have a lot of people that just, you know, flat out will not use a credit card. Do you have like copy cards? Is that what you're talking about? Or are they just using debit or credit cards?
They don't actually, for the printing, they don't even have an option for the credit cards. It's just cash straight up. But the self checks, you can use cash or card. And the system that it was tied into, I think it's SAM, but there was another payment option system that was in the self checks too, and I cannot remember what it is off the top of my head.
And is SAM, does that come from Comprise?
I believe so.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
think I've seen that before, that name.
Uh-huh.
So is it like something attached to your self-check that they can actually take cash?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Actually, I think they may even call it just Comprise that attaches to the self checks, and the SAM is what interfaces with our printing system, and it all kind of just goes all together.
what type of self-checks do you have?
Oh, those 3M monsters that are always breaking. I can't remember. I can, I'll ask IT and then I'll get back to you, Mary.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Not that we'd be able to change ours, but it'd be nice to know what you have.
Yeah, they are extremely temperamental. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, ours are, I mean, I like ours. They're technological. Well, what are they? What is it?
Well, the actual hardware is from a company called C Point.
Yeah. We have a couple that go down now and again, but for the most part, they've been pretty good. They're kind of hard to get set up at first, but they work pretty well.
Yeah, but these guys, there's always something. Last week it was a payment where they couldn't figure out whether it was credit card or cash. It didn't know. And it freaked out the finance when they saw that on their balance reports. It's like, how do you fix that? And I'm like, I don't even want to touch it. So.
Cool. Well, I can look into that. At least that's something.
Well, and I think too, Mary, you can go ahead and you may not have done this before, but you could post to the Bywater Partners listserv and ask the question that way, and maybe, get a broader audience.
It's the 3 or 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I also just had a question about if y'all's libraries are still quarantining items.
We're doing it at Pueblo, and we're still doing it for 3 days on material.
Yeah, ours is 48 hours still, I think. Ours is dictated by our courier, our statewide courier service. That's the guidance we go off of.
That's really all the questions I had. That's all I had.
Well, I had a few bugs that I'd either like to highlight, or if you're interested, go into Bugzilla and vote or comment, or, do you think these are good ideas or not? The first one is the ability to log the changes that have been made in the circ rules, which I never would have thought that I needed until COVID.
Yeah.
And staff, I kept, at the very beginning, I kept all these notes, and I still have those, but then other changes have been made, and it's been so long, and staff will say, does this category allow holds or not? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'll look, and I'm kind of like, I wonder if it was always that way, or did we change it because of COVID, and how many times did we change it, and did we change it back and then change it again? It just seems like it would be nice to have a log, a history of all those changes. And I was thinking too, if they can create that kind of functionality, it would even be nicer to be able to get to that from the circ and fine rules table. So like maybe you had a button there for each loan rule, and you could click on it and it would show you the changes. So you didn't have to go out to the tools and logs and do a whole nother search.
That's a good idea. I think using the logs is so frustrating sometimes. So if they could streamline that in any way,
Yeah.
it would be nice.
I'd agree. The only problem is that it'd show all the mistakes I've made.
There was a time there, like in March or April, I think we were changing things every day. We were changing things faster than we could keep up.
Yeah.
Then we had this disastrous holiday thing that we didn't discover until we had a bunch of books due on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, because we had opened up a pseudo branch for our pickup window and didn't realize that we had to copy the holidays to the pickup window. And oh my God. And I was on vacation, and Jacqueline sends me this terrified email. I'm like, oh God, it's still happening.
Another one that I think would be useful at times is batch check-in functionality. Sometimes there are times when it would be nice to be able to, check in a group of things, maybe even from a list or something. I didn't know what people thought about that.
Yeah, I vaguely remember them requesting that feature like maybe a year ago. And there was a project I was working on, and I know it would have been very, very useful. So as a tool, yeah, I'd definitely agree we'd need that.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that this was possible for some. I'm guessing I'm thinking of batch checkouts, aren't I?
But yeah, it's
It's
batch
just that.
checkout. And it seems like this batch check-in, I don't know, it seems kind of like it's stalled, and it's kind of like people want it, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion on this bug.
Mhm. And then I'd be curious to see what people think about this one. It's basically being able to record circulation for a set or a kit, not like trying to record circulation for every disc in a book on CD, but we're getting into where we're creating sort of what I call convenience packages or kits for people. So we have a binge bag of 5 DVD movies. And if we had checked those out separately, we would get 5 checkouts. But for the convenience to the patron and sort of marketing to the patron, we're putting all of those things into one bib record that contains all these items. And it seems like we ought to get 5 circs for that instead of just one. What do people think about that?
So at Pueblo, we have these things called binge boxes,
Mhm.
and they're 5 different DVDs in one container. And we were wanting that. We want the circ for those 5 individual titles, but on one item. So we would definitely be up
Cool.
for that kind of enhancement.
Cool.
I wonder if there's some way you could make it like you attach all the items to the record, but the record has its own barcode, and when you check out the barcode for the record, it tallies all the ones on the record or something. I don't know. That
Yeah,
sounds
Our
complex.
barcodes on it.
I
I
think
didn't know if
my
it would be like by item, like maybe there are certain item types that are defined that way, or I don't know how it could be set up. I just know what my end goal
Yeah.
would be.
It's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I could see that being useful for us as well, because I have libraries doing the same thing right now. One of them recently got a grant to put together these kind of like binge sets of
Mhm.
books. So it'd be nice to track those as more than one circ for sure.
And we have book club kit discussion, that have 10 copies of the book. And theoretically, if you're going to be using this at a book club, you're hoping that, multiple people or they're each using one of those. And so it seems like you ought to be able to get the counts on that.
Yeah, I think my one library that does book discussion sets actually catalogs each one individually and then checks out each book.
Mm.
Like tedious, but I guess they probably do get the stats in that case. But for
Yeah.
kids where it's multiple different items together, we don't have anything
Mhm.
to handle that outside of just counting it as a kit circulation. So
actually I had an idea that I was running by water, and it's like a print slip for all the items that someone has on hold. Not necessarily the trapped holds, but everything that they've placed on hold. And if people thought that would be a good idea or a good enhancement.
I like the idea of that. I mean, I have patrons, we're doing all of our holds right now through a drive-through window. And a lot of times, I mean, we'll have 2 or 3 cars in line. And so we're kind of in a hurry. It'd be a lot easier just to print something up, to give them what they have on hold rather than when they ask, to have to go through the 10 or 15 items or, well, 10 items that they have on hold. So I could see that being very valuable.
And if it's on a slip, then you can just do it through the receipt printer. So yeah.
Just print it out and give it to them. So.
So all these are great ideas. Did we want to actually try and ask the development group about them? See if any of them if we want to support anyone or put the money towards them?
Well, I'm going to be the new chair of the development committee.
Sweet.
So so that meeting is next February 5th. And it'll be my first meeting because we canceled the January meeting. So I'll get my foot in the door and start to learn how does this, I don't exactly know what I'm supposed to be doing yet, but I've just,
as Rhonda said, you're making it up as you go.
Yeah. And my tactic lately is just trying to highlight all these different things that I'd like to see happening and just get it out there to a lot of people. And hopefully it's something they're interested in, and maybe they go into Bugzilla and they vote on it, or they just at least add their name to the, get notified about the bug list or make a comment, like a Me Too comment. That would be great. Our library would love to have that ability, because I think the more we get the people, the different libraries saying, yes, we would love this functionality, then, the more it'll get looked at and maybe something will happen. But yeah, I mean, I think what's going to happen in the development committee is they redid the policy or the process. And so now libraries could submit an idea for a development any time of the year, not just during a window of time. And then I guess I'll have to learn about, once we put out a call for submit your developments, what happens next, because I'm not really up on the process. But I do think some of these would be good things to potentially, support.
So if more people comment on a bug, does it get higher priority? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think what I've been told, and Jason might know more, but kind of what I feel like I've heard is that, the more input the developers see from libraries about how this would help them, that's good information for them. And then there's also a voting capability on the bugs, so you can go in and put some votes toward it, and that the higher, when a bug gets more votes, developers will be looking at that as well. So I've just been trying to kind of poke at bugs that I think would be good features, and hopefully they get more notice.
Yeah, and anytime you comment on the bug, it sends an email to the people in charge of the bug. Basically, people get assigned to the bugs. So anytime like a librarian comments on it, they're gonna get an email, and that is like direct signaling support for the idea. So it helps get things to the top of their to-do list, because they can see there's interest in it.
There was another thing, and I'll have to see if I can explain this right, but we just did a patron satisfaction survey. And we allow 10 holds on most of our items. You can have up to 10 holds. And some people, for like popular items, you know, they might be number 30 or, you know, they're way down in the list because we only have so many copies and it's really popular. And I think the comments I saw on the survey were, you know, you should allow us to have more holds because your holds queue for some things is so long. And so I'm in the queue for forever for like these two really popular things. So I have two of my holds are like used up over here and I'm waiting really, really long, but I'd still like to be able to place holds on other things that I could actually get. And so they feel like they're losing their full ability of their 10 holds. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but is that kind of what you got from reading the survey comments, Mary?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the first thing that pops into my mind is where am I going to put all those holds? You know, but yeah, I mean, I can see that. Yeah, that's I think that, you know, there's going to be the people that have the Clive Cusslers and the Pattersons, you know, on hold, there's going to be 30 holds and that's just how it's going to be. And they want to be able to put other things on hold. But I'm afraid if we did that, then we would have the, you know, the teachers that want to check out 50 books and I'm going to get 50 holds. So if there was a way to qualify it or, you know.
Well, I guess I was thinking of some kind of a, and I don't even know if this is well thought out, but some kind of like of a metering or a
values, which.
Yeah, something like, you know, if I'm placing holds on these items and the holds queue is, you know, X amount long and my wait to get to that hold is, you know, 3 months, then, you know, that would be ranked at or valued at something. You're not going to get it soon. You're going to have to wait a really long time. But I'd still like to be able to place holds on other things I can actually get like reasonably now. I don't know. Not that it would be like a lot more holds, but that it would be.
Those are like your holding holds or your long-term holds and then your short-term holds or something like that.
I don't know. It was just something that popped into my mind when I was reading the comments and I thought, well, they sort of have a point. You know, if a person is always reading like these, you know, bestsellers and they're always wanting DVDs and they're always going to be waiting a really long period of time. So they're using all their holds, you know, on these things, but they're going to wait forever. But maybe they would still want to be able to use holds on other things they could actually just get to quickly. I don't know.
That sounds really complicated.
It does, yes. Really complicated.
Wonder if you could do like some sort of time release hold limit. Like you've got a limit of 10 holds, but if your hold is older than 2 weeks or something, then you get those holds back to your full count or something like that.
Hold.
Kind of like a metering or something of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like the weighted hold. If you're, you know, if you're like greater than 10 on a line, the hold doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
And you still have those 10 holds available. But yeah, it would be pretty complicated. We have people that take advantage of our holds and fill up the hold shelves too. But it would be complicated, but it would definitely clean up our hold shelves.
So you could say like if you're on hold for like 6 weeks or something, then that hold doesn't count against the 10 that you have. But once you get down to being like a week or two away, that goes into the category of your maximum allotted holds.
Yeah, I think going by just your rank in the list makes sense. So like that could be a parameter you could set. So if the patron is like in the top 5, then that counts as a hold. But if they're not in the top 5, then it doesn't counts against the limit, that kind of thing. I don't know how you'd pull that off either, but
Yeah.
it might be a solution, an easier solution than trying to work in dates and trying to calculate like how long it's going to be, because you never really know how long it's going to be.
Yeah.
You just do a ticket and see what's happening. Tell Bywater we want to just do a ticket about that. That's what we do. Fix this. Don't we have that capability? I don't know how to do it.
You know, changing the subject just a little bit, but have you guys, since the issues that we had, was it 2 weeks ago, with those who were on Bywater, have you noticed any problems with your holds, specifically when they expire, they're being trapped again by the same user? No.
We haven't seen that.
Okay. Someone just reported it to me today, but this is the first time I've heard about it, and I was thinking it might have had something to do with that kerfuffle.
Well, I did have one that I had checked out to me, which I returned today. And when I ran it through, the hold was for me. But I have a feeling I probably did something. I do things testing wise sometimes that I forget. And then, but I did think that was odd. But we've been on 2005 since November, I think. So.
I haven't heard anybody mention that problem here. Our biggest issue from that mess was the indexing got locked up, so new items weren't being indexed. You couldn't search them, that kind of thing. But Bywater eventually got that fixed for us.
Was that when a lot of different partners, the server went down?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happened to us. I think we must have been on a different, because I saw that in Slack and I thought, I don't think we're experiencing this. So I think it bypassed us somehow.
Yeah, we were on, it seemed like it hit twice, like 2 different clusters or whatever they do with us. Like, because I think we're not on the same cluster as the Northeast Kansas library system is, but we are on the same cluster as CanShare. So our stuff went down and their stuff didn't, and then their stuff went down the next day. So, yeah.
Yeah, we lost new items, checkouts, holds, and I think some reports too. And everything, the checkouts and most of the holds got back, but we lost a bunch of items and I had to do a bunch of reports all over again. So
Yeah, I don't think it hit us like that. I mean, it just, we went down, but we didn't lose anything. So yeah, I don't think we had the same issues.
all right, well, I pay attention to it, but it's another fun thing to happen. So glad that nobody else is having this trouble. That's good.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna write myself a note to ask IT about our self-checks and get the model numbers and all that, so I can send it to you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
I did search I never delete emails. Some people had asked about payment systems before, but I didn't see any like additional conversation. But somebody said that they did have some sort of Envisionware product working with Koha via SIP. So that might be something else to look into. Some of these are really old. They're saying it's like Envisionware STS. I don't have any experience with it personally.
I'm not that enchanted with it.
Just because of the name. Yeah, that's all I'm seeing in like the on the koha, the global koha list it was mentioned, and then on the Bywater partners list it was mentioned in the middle of last year, it looks like. So it's something that people have used.
Do you use libkey, Jason, at all?
We use libkey, but we don't we self-host it. Like we do on-site servers at libraries that want it. We just recycle old servers and then they have their own libkey servers at their locations. We don't go through Bywater for libkey.
Okay. So is it basically you just could load it on any?
It's just like Koha, basically. You can spin it up on a Linux machine and then deploy it so that it runs on. I think the way my IT guy does it is it's just in-house, like local area. It would probably be easier if we did it through Bywater and had them host in the cloud. But he's got enough experience and years under his belt with it that he's comfortable setting it up for each individual library, and that makes it basically free because we just recycle old servers or old towers for them.
Mhm. And does it allow payments for prints yet?
I don't know. I'm not sure that we're running the newest version. I know that Kyle mentioned that print management was like getting better in the most recent release, but I don't think that I have any libraries accepting payments through it.
Because I think when it gets there, it could be a viable alternative to Envisionware, which is what we're using.
So since you guys went to 2005, have you tried using that claims returned feature? I think you said that you didn't want to.
Yeah, we tried it and it doesn't work the way we think of claims returned, I guess. And Mary and Jacqueline could talk to it more than I can.
Keeping it on their accounts is the biggest problem. Yeah. It keeps it on their account, and we like to take it off of their account. But yes.
We basically allow like one claims returned in a lifetime. And so they get their claims returned and it just stays there and we know they've had one. So if they come in again, it's like, no, I'm sorry, you've already used the claims returned.
Yeah, we have 9 for the lifetime of the account, and the
9?
way, yes, and the way that they were tracking it was through notes in the person's fields, and that just
Yeah.
they got really messy. So they actually like having the items still on the account. It's just that bug where it renews the item and then sets it to lost. That's supposed to be fixed in 2005, and that's what I was kind of wondering about. So
what do you do for like if something is? How do you replace something like that? How do you know that it's gone?
it's said as claims returned in the items in the item field. So
then you just like do a report and see if that needs to be replaced or something or other, or
yeah, yeah. If there's more holds on it than items available, then we will order another copy, or if someone requests it again. So
that's kind of a thing that I'm kind of working on. We have like a gap where when things get lost or damaged, we haven't really got a good system for notifying the book selectors that item needs to be replaced, or maybe you want to consider it, or if it's got holes on it. So I'm starting to do that kind of manually, but kind of like poking around trying to figure out a better system for that, because it's something that it happens a lot where things just kind of fall through the cracks. I don't know what other libraries do.
Have things fall through the cracks mostly. All of my libraries have lists of things they should clean up. I send reminders every month of reports to run, but there are things that just hang out until they eventually get resolved. So
Yeah,
it's an
kinda
issue
like
for us as well.
when there's, if somebody asks about it, then it's a problem. But if nobody asks about it, we don't know about it.
Yeah, that's kind of how we do it. We do
I don't
have
feel bad then.
we try I do try to encourage them to do it. We do have a statewide materials replacement fund that has like a 1 year limit on it. So that's a good like, hey, you should probably take care of this before that limit's out, or you're gonna end up paying for something. That's more for things lost in transit. But yeah, we have lots of mess. And it would be nice to kind of solidify some of those workflows and like have some rigidity, but at the same time, it's nice to be flexible, especially with COVID and stuff. I mean, just giving people enough time to resolve the issues with other libraries and with their patrons.
So like when something's declared lost, some mechanism to like email the owner of the fund that item would normally be ordered from, or
One thing that I've been
no.
like backburnering for a while is just dashboards in Koha. So like using some of the JSON type jQuery to pull out reports directly to the screen. So like you could have a dashboard on the acquisition screen that pulled a report that was showing all of those items that needed some attention, basically. I've been wanting to do that for a while in different areas like circulation things too, but haven't really made any progress on it. But I don't think it'd be too hard to jQuery that up, because yeah, I don't think it would it would be to make it look pretty, and that's the part of my stopper, and part of my stopper is just time and motivation. So but I think that would be helpful in multiple areas, having a dashboard on the circulation page homepage to say, hey, these are the items that need attention, having one on the for this acquisitions homepage saying, hey, these need the attention, that kind of thing.
Because we have items that a patron will come in and say, they returned it, and then staff will send an all user email, be on the lookout for this because they say they returned it. If we had something like that, it would be just, here are items that we should be looking out for instead of sending it out. I would like that.
Yeah, that would be good. And then you could have it, where you could know it would update when that item was found or not found or whatever. That would be a lot, probably more distinct.
Yeah, anything to bring things in your face more so you're not having to click a button and click a report and then look at the report and wander off. Like anytime you pull up that page and see that problem's still there and you need to resolve it, I think would help resolve some issues.
Yeah, I really like your dashboard idea, Jason. I'm not sure how our branch managers would appreciate it. They're very well. Recently, I just got a message or a phone call saying we actually have lost lists. It was like, yeah, I think you're supposed to check those weekly. So. Well, does anybody else have any other topics? This was actually quite a lively discussion.
Well, one concern is that it doesn't seem like we're getting very many attendees. And does this still seem like a good meeting time? Or Mary and I were talking about, since the group is called User Services, could it be that people don't really understand what we're going to be talking about as user services? Should it be something more like just, you know, patrons in circulation, or I don't know. Because I know I've only been to like 3 of these, but each time I've been, there aren't very many of us here.
Yeah, when Jill was running it, she said that a lot of people didn't show up either.
Mm-hmm.
So circulation actually might be a better term for the group. I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
Well, relatedly, the next meeting falls on President's Day, so it's probably good to reschedule it anyways. But if we want to pick a different day of the week and rebrand, I think that's totally cool. I do think that Mondays and Fridays are probably less attended, or
Okay.
that's just what I've seen in the past. People tend to come to our Tuesdays and Tuesday things the most, really. Wednesdays are the general meetings, so people do come to those, and people come to the cataloging thing on the Thursday, but it's cataloging, so it's got that wide appeal. So yeah, I think if you wanted to send out some sort of rebranding email, and maybe you could try a doodle poll to pick some different time slots and see if we
Jill did a poll when we first, she first started it. And so, you know, this was what we ended up with the time, and it worked for me. But all those other people that time worked for don't seem to be coming. So
yeah.
Yeah, I just got an email from someone that said that how are they supposed to access these meetings? Apparently they're on the mailing list, but they're not. They don't have a link to the meetings. I sent it to him, but he never joined. So, but yeah, I'll send out a message and see what time works for everyone. Lisette did that for the admin meeting, and my calendar didn't update, so I missed the meeting. But that it's my calendar. It does weird things with the koha meeting. So
Okay. But yeah, if we come up with a different name, different time, that kind of thing, I'm happy to update all that on the website. I don't know if there's a better way to make these accessible. Like, we had the same issue with the acquisitions group. Somebody always emails me the morning of saying, what's the link? And I don't know if there's, I hesitate to put it on the website because then it's just out there on the website, even though it is on the calendar. And it's on the Google Calendar. I'm just not sure where else we could put it to make it easier, unless we just make sure the SIG leaders are making a habit of putting that link in the email when they send an announcement. Although some of the SIG leaders don't do that either. So
I don't do that. So
yeah,
I'll start doing that from now on.
You've been doing more communication than some of the other SIG leaders even. So maybe we just need to reorganize a little bit and get everybody on the same page as far as announcing meetings and what they need to include in the announcement.
I just think that circ people have so many of the frontline problems and workflows and all those kinds of things. And, you know, it'd be great to get other people involved and other perspectives and learn from others.
I would agree with that 100%. I know that one of the difficulties with this group particularly is those people are working the desk and that kind of thing, so they can't make these kinds of meetings.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if we can see how many people are actually in the group. There are 52 members subscribed to the user services special interest group. So you might not even have to send that out to the whole group or the full mailing list. You could just send out a list or like a poll to this list and see if we can find a better time.
So just the user services list, or?
Yeah, I mean, those people have all showed interest, so it would be good to get them all in one place if we
Yeah,
could.
I'd really like to see them attending. How could we, what could we do to get them to actually attend?
At least as a start, maybe start with them and also do the rebranding as circulation and patrons, or just circulation with them, and then we could grow it from there, maybe.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. So does anything else? So I want to get myself a gavel so that, it's like going once, going twice, meeting's adjourned. We could get a gavel sound effect or something, but yeah. Anyway, unless anybody else has anything in the last couple of minutes, I think this is it. And I will send out a message and do the doodle, and hopefully we can get more people in this shindig. So
Sounds good.
yeah, thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.